we have gone through what it is you think you want versus what you actually need, what the market is like out there. We've given you a property checklist to really refine what it is you want versus what someone else may want. But you sorted that out now. I mean, you're a dream team. You're working well together. You're like a well-oiled machine out there looking for property, and you know what you want, don't you? You're not wasting any time. No. You're not speed dating. Property-wise, you do whatever you want personally, but you're not looking at too many properties and you're not bringing too many people. You filled out your viewing sheet each time you have a viewing, just to get familiar with the things you're meant to look for. Again, just as a guide. And then you decide you found the one. You like it, you like the look of it. You like the potential, you like the area. There's something in you that you can really see yourself being there. So you're going to make a bid. This is where you need to stop and have a plan. And part of this is bringing everything that you've done so far into this stage of your journey. And it means that you're being clear on what it is you're looking at, why you're looking at it, and in this circumstance, why you're choosing to bid. So let's say we viewed one main street yesterday and we really enjoyed it, lovely viewing, lovely location, and the price seems okay. What we want to do is we want to plan firstly what the status is. So we're going to touch base with the agent. We're going to say, hello, Mr. and Mrs. Agent, would you mind telling me what the bid is on this particular property as of today? And they will say there is no bid, there is a current bid, and we have 6 bidders, or there may be other circumstances. When you have a better idea of what's happening with that particular property, it then better informs how to move forward. So let's say you're looking at a property and there's crickets. There's no bidding happening on it. There's going to be a different sense of urgency about something like that you get to reflect on versus one that has 7 or 8 or 28 bidders looking at a property and you don't feel like you have time to think. What you want to do is understand the nuances around that particular sale. When the agent gives you some sort of an overview, if it is a bank sale, if it is a private sale off market, if someone is trying to sell a property then buy something else, this all then plays a role in how you're going to bid, why you're going to bid, and how you conduct yourself going forward. So let's say for this exercise, you like the property and it seems to tick enough of the boxes. The agent has told you that there are no bids on it at the moment, and you're now trying to get a feel for, okay, what's the price telling me right now? So firstly, we're going to go back to your gut. And this sounds funny, but your gut will never steer you wrong, because even 6 months later, you might say, I knew I could have done better if I'd stopped and thought about something. So right now, let's stop and let's think about it. You're looking at this property and you want to get clear on your pricing. You want to have an end goal in mind as to the figure you're not going to go beyond. It's very easy to get lost in the bidding and get caught up in the energy where everyone wants to win. But let me tell you, the happiest you're going to be, aside from when you get the keys of your property eventually, is the day an agent tells you your offer has been accepted. There is a 5-minute window where you're delighted. That's when the work starts. You got to book and pay for a surveyor. You got to book and pay for a valuer. You got to book and pay, potentially, legal fees. You have to set aside all of these things that may not come to mind at the front of the conversation when you're thinking of bidding. But if you keep that end figure in mind, so let's say hypothetically we're looking at 400,000 and your tippy top when you've stolen a microwave and thrown in the car and everything else is 411. Don't go beyond 411 in your mind for now. The agent doesn't have to know what you're thinking. And then when you're bidding, you want to understand the lay of the land. Are the sellers expecting crazy figures because the market is busy and there's nothing else for sale? Are they in a rush to sell because they want to move abroad, or they've had something happen in the family where they just want to call it quits and keep things going? This is what's going to dictate how you're going to bid, because I've had properties that I bought for people and someone has said to me, they want X and they're done. Okay, if it's appropriate, maybe we give them X. Maybe we don't. But in this circumstance, if someone gives you a finish line, that's different to someone who is testing the market. They may need to sell to buy, so they may be trying to maximize the price on property A so they can buy property B themselves. You can't control this part of the process, but you can control what you do as part of this process. So when it comes to bidding, be very clear on your end goal. You want to be proactive in coming back to the agent. So if you viewed yesterday, Send them an email or a message telling them, thank them for their time. Tell them you do potentially have an interest and you're reflecting on it at the moment. You confirm bidding, and then if you're going to make a bid, you get your ducks in a row to make that particular bid. Let's say we're going to make a bid to the agent. We're going to say, hello agent, thank you for your time. Based on the previous bid of X, which I believe is currently valid or in existence or whatever the wording you may want to use or in play, we would like to make an offer of Y. Now, if you were looking at an online bidding platform, you won't have the same breadth of ability to be able to send an email as part of that particular bid, but I would always follow up an online bid with an email bid just so they have a chain of events as to firstly, you being proactive, secondly, in case something technical happens and your bid wasn't logged. Let's face it, anything can happen, and what you want to do is mitigate as many potential issues as you can while you can. So, you're making your bid, you're going to confirm your status. So you're going to confirm that you have mortgage approval in place, and let's say you know the area, you're based in the area, you're very familiar with it, and you've missed out on 2 other properties. Just say, proactively looking, very communicative, very interested in this location, and here's my bid, and I have everything in place that I needed. You want to show then that you are ready to go. You're proactive, you're communicative, and you know what needs to be done. And it means that you then have your professional services lined up to keep in line with that as well. So you send that bid in, and let's say you send it in analog, essentially through email now, and you ask them for an update or a confirmation that they've received your bid. If it's an online system, you register, you make your bid, and then you send in an email to that particular agent or the office just to confirm that you've made this particular bid. Because when they're looking online, although they have a back end to say that number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is bidder, such and such, it just reaffirms, I met Andrew at the viewing. Andrew was communicative. Andrew was polite. Andrew gave me feedback. Andrew's bidding, and Andrew knows what's expected of him. Rather than, who's this? They gave me one name. They gave me another name. Let me try and figure it out. I'll look at it later. And I'm not saying you're going to be dismissed, but let's just make life as easy as possible. So why not? And you make your bid. At the bottom of your mind, or at the back of your mind, every single time you make a bid, why are you making that bid? What level are you going to? What's the actual state of play of bidding? And be very, very mindful of tiny increments going up that only may frustrate the process. Now, every property is different. I am not going to advise you on this particular course video module that it's a hard and fast rule. But just be mindful when you're dealing with bidding, you want to take each property on its own merits and each bid on its own merits. And once you know that there's a bid of €400,000, and let's say for argument's sake we make a bid of 402,000. If the next bidder comes in and makes a bid of 415,000, you're out of the running. You have no control over that, but that particular bidder had an idea in mind as to how they could get rid of other people, or they felt they wanted to put their best foot forward. You can't control that. What you can control is your budget max, being proactive, being communicative, and also understanding why you're making a particular bid. I would also say to anyone who's maybe frustrated with the market or thinks that it's okay to shop around. I understand it is to an extent, but when you're bidding on property, be very mindful not to bid on too many properties at any given time, because 2 things happen. You get lost in a sea of bids that are coming in. You really don't get the chance to reflect on what your best options or decisions are going forward. You're also going to be frustrating the process for people who maybe only want that particular house, that particular road, that particular location. So just be very mindful when you want to make a bid of how you're going to approach it. What's your structure? What's your exit button that you are not going to engage anymore? But also underlying all of that, as we've said when you're dealing with agents or any agencies that take the time to open the door and engage with you, be communicative. There's a strategy to it where you don't have to tell them your entire life story, but you can tell them enough where they understand that you know what's expected, that you're really above board and you're doing the best you can to keep things moving. And if this one is for you, hey, great, let's progress to the next steps. But if it's not, you live to fight another day. So just keep that in mind.